name is Jessica. But then again, like all my professors, they get called a different name. So if you forget my name and call me Erica, that's A-okay. So just kind of like a little bit about me, or something that like I think I mentioned in the video, but something that I'm very proud to say is I'm a first generation Mexican American student. I started at Palomar College, which is how I met Allison and how I even started to hear about childhood trauma. I'm currently a student at CUCLB. I'm studying Spanish with a minor in biology. And I've definitely come a long way. One I didn't really think or even envision for myself. My parents are two immigrants who came from Mexico. Not gonna lie, they came here undocumented at first, but now they are here and well protected. And there's definitely something unspoken about coming here as immigrants, and it's the overwhelming fear that these young people experience and end up having to deal with. And sadly, sometimes that ends up going to their children. I don't think it helped that my mom, she's actually heavily pregnant as she came here. And I think all of us, all my siblings and I definitely suffered the brunt of her trauma one way or another. As any immigrant parent, they definitely have this expectations, whether it's told to you explicitly or implicitly. I kind of got both of them from them. I had the expectations of myself where I had to focus on my education because I know that my education is the clear and one and only pathway for me to take advantage of those opportunities that they gave me by coming to this country. And one thing I realized, and I was also told by my mom, was that I can only rely on myself. And I learned that at a very, very early age, where I told myself, I don't have anyone else but myself. Even in elementary, you're taught to socialize with other kids your age. I didn't. I couldn't play with I never played with other people in my classes. I only focused on doing the homework and keep moving forward. And I never really let myself make friends because I was taught that there is no such thing as a true friend. It wasn't until 7th grade where I actually met some wonderful, wonderful people who are still in my life today. Not here, but they're still here in my life. And they helped me realize that that's not true. There is such a thing as a friend. But either way, in all those years of my life, I realized that I was slowly building this habit of only relying on myself, never truly talking to someone about what I was feeling, what I was going through. I was only relying on myself. And it, for lack of a better phrase, it bit me in the ass up in high school. I started to properly experience my anxiety, my depression, and it started to form a really bad habit of self-harm. No one really knew about it, not even my family, not even my friends. I kind of found a way to also hide it. Try not to make it obvious to them, just because I was ashamed of asking for help. I had become too independent, I guess. But what sucked about that was that it really, really affected my grades. As much as I love Palomar College now, I hated it as a high schooler because it's a community college and I felt that I needed to go straight to a four-year university. My siblings had done it, but somehow I couldn't do it. And so I really genuinely started with a bad mindset on my college career. And it didn't really help that the pandemic came along because I know for a fact that I don't do well in isolated places. It didn't help the quarantine that I was studying in my own home where I felt that I couldn't properly escape. I had to take a semester off to properly identify whether or not I wanted to get my degree. It was something I always was told to get by my mom, by my dad, by my siblings. But for the first time, I was actually genuinely asking myself whether I wanted to do it. I was originally studying biology to become pre-med biology, to become a pediatrician, because I've always known that I wanted to work with kids. But the thing was, that wasn't necessarily my dream. That wasn't my passion. It was my mom's dream. I have this memory of her asking me after she picked me up in elementary school whether I knew what I wanted to be as a kid. And knowing that I wanted to work with kids, I told her I wanted to be a teacher. Her response to me was, "They don't make that much money. You should be a doctor instead." Going into middle school, I told myself, okay, I suddenly like science. And it's true, I did find love for science. But at the end of the day, for years, I was living for her and not for myself. And taking that semester off during the pandemic, I realized I am done living for someone else, and it's time to live for me. So I am now a Spanish major, hoping to become a high school teacher. I don't mind teaching biology too. But I'm finally trying to live for myself. And much like Jolene, I've always asked for permission, because that was just something I was taught to do. I even sometimes stopped asking at all for permission because I knew the answer was no. So there were many things in my life where I had so many opportunities that I let slip through my fingers just because I knew the answer would be no. I finally started breaking away from that when I decided to go back to school full time, and things definitely looked out for me because I had a wonderful community at Palmer College named Umoja. It caters to African American students, but they welcome everyone, and I definitely felt welcome there. I realized that I genuinely need a community in order to succeed, because not only do they hold me accountable, but they also are there for me, and they're there to listen. And it's thanks to them that I even found a job at my community college, which is working with behavioral health. And not only was I able to talk about my experiences with mental health, but I was also able to be that bridge for other students who have been silenced. Because the thing is, mental health is highly stigmatized. We don't talk about it. And even in my Latin Hispanic community, we don't talk about it. Why? I have no idea. But I decided that after being silenced about it for so long, I was like, I'm done. So I decided to be a peer mentor at my community college to try to be that bridge between my fellow students and the therapist there, which is how I met Allison, and which is how I learned about childhood trauma. She had such a smile and a passion talking about it in her workshop at the end of it. And I realized just how much I could benefit from it. We actually had a party later that day, I think it was a Halloween one, and I wasn't paying attention to the party. I was immediately signing up for childhood trauma because I knew just how much I could benefit from it, and I wasn't going to let this slip from my hands. A few months later, I think, or a few weeks, I get an email from Ashra telling me when I could schedule an interview. And I did the interview. I was scared out of my mind because I was thinking, oh, this is like a job interview. It really wasn't. It was more of a chat, I'm not gonna lie. But I realized that this was happening. I was going to be someone who's finally going to take control of their life. And I realized just how much this program actually needs to be. I actually started the program in March of this year. Went through the 4 months. I met Stephanie. I met Jolene. I met Amon. I met Julian. I met so many people who helped me prepare for this type of experience. I was always been enclosed in this bubble because of my mom and her fear of exploring the world, because the world can be a dangerous place. The world can also be this beautiful, exciting place. And it was her fears that were holding me back. And as I mentioned in the video, I genuinely thought about giving up on the program, just because I knew that I would eventually have to tell her I was doing this program and I was not asking for permission. Day of, I was in absolute nervous wreck at the airport. And one thing I didn't expect from my mom was her trying to comfort me and encourage me to do this, to not back out. So yeah, it's not just a program that will help, or that helped me. It definitely helped the relationship with my parents. No longer am I someone who has to ask. I'm now someone who is encouraged to go after anything I want, whether that be traveling, whether that be my education. There's still definitely some things we can work on. I never once heard the words from my parents, "I'm proud of you." I've only ever heard it from my brother. And he's definitely an inspiration to me. He was the one who opened my eyes to the beauty of the world. I may be a first-generation student, but I am not the first in my family. But I am the first to actually branch out away from my mom's protective bubble. It is thanks to my brother and his loving wife that I am no longer afraid to stand up for myself, to say that I am doing it and not asking. It is because of him that I now have this travel bug, and not only because of him, but because of this wonderful, wonderful community that Ashraf and everyone part of the program are trying to build. And to all of those who helped me make that dream a reality by financially supporting this program, thank you. And if you guys could definitely keep on supporting them, that would be amazing, because this is a program that definitely helps everyone in some sort of way. At first, I didn't think travel was going to be that much of a difference in my life, but it really did. It made me realize that I am the one managing the sails of my ship, to put it away. And so, yeah, I have that travel bug. And I don't think it helps that 3 of my new friends are actually international students. But yeah, I am now finally living my life for me. I'm no longer just existing, I am now trying to live that life. Like I mentioned in that video, Dylan Thomas's poem, "Do Not Go Gentle into That Good Night," is essentially my motto. And for those of you who don't know it, it's basically just telling you, don't just exist, but live. Live your life to the fullest. Don't end up at your deathbed regretting not living and having fun and doing the craziest things that you could possibly do in this world. Just do it. So, thank you, and I am not going to sit down.